Views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Here I am, standing at the door, looking back at life as it's been before, holding on to things that might have been, knowing that this day will never come again.
Welcome to Soul Chat. I am Jane McGuire.
I'm Elena Risto, and I can't hardly hear a thing.
Right.
There we come. There it's
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Spent 2 very cold weeks up in Canada.
Yeah, but it was great because nobody could find me. They couldn't get a hold of me. They couldn't, I couldn't pick up voicemail.
Well, that was spirit isolating you.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
So I guess we should start our show with, first of all, Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. It's really good. Happy New Year to you because I wasn't here to say
I
it.
know, right? We weren't here. So you were up in frozen Canada.
Yeah, I was up in Cochrane, Alberta.
And
which is
we had
north and west of Calgary.
Oh, and I've been to the other side of Canada. I spent some time in Vancouver, but not
Yeah,
where you
no,
were.
this is different.
Yeah,
this is on the east side of the Rockies, and the statement up there is if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. Because that's exactly what's going on.
Wait 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is, a couple of days before New Year's, there was this, and you heard about it, there's this big thing about, we're going to get snow in Las Vegas on New Year's. And I went to work on New Year's Day at Karma Connections, and we had flurries. I can't even call them flakes, because the flakes are the ones that live here.
You worked on that all week, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, good.
I
That
did.
was nice delivery. I like that.
But it was hilarious because people were talking about getting their chains out, and this was typical Las Vegas snow. It hit your windshield and immediately melted. Right, gone.
Yeah. Well, the kind of snow they have up there is very dry as well.
Yeah.
And it literally blows.
Yeah.
I mean, it blows all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's very dry, so it's not like I'm raised in the Northwest, like you've lived in the Northwest, and it's heavy, wet. But this isn't. This, and it compounds and it. But what's interesting is they all just bundle up and they go out and drive.
Well, and that's kind of how Northern California was. I spent a lot of time skiing as a child, going up to Tahoe and Heavenly and Squaw and all that, and that's kind of the same weather.
Yeah.
It's not the wet snow. It's the drier powder that gets packed down.
Yeah, except that it was minus 20 Celsius, which is about minus 7, 6, something like that Fahrenheit.
Anything below 0 or 32 just doesn't count.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
really
matter.
doesn't
If it's 1 below, it can be 20 below.
Although I felt a lot better because my friend Jan teaches up in Manitoba.
Right.
Which was minus 50 below.
And
as I understand it, at minus 40, both Celsius and Fahrenheit, they're both the same.
No, thank you.
So So anything minus 20 is doable. You don't stay out very long, but breathing below that is like hard. It's like knives.
Yeah,
it's
I
like
can imagine.
Hitting. Yeah,
I can imagine.
So whatever.
So what did you learn?
I had some huge learning.
I've had some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and when we say, I was thinking about it today. It's not what did you learn about other people. It's about what did we learn about ourselves. And I realized being up with other people who have been trained like I have that I need to develop more of that. I need to make sure I have that kind of food for my spirit.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that I had a huge learning about. We've talked about this before, about the wounds that are created when we're younger from other relationships. And that people, they say, well, why do I keep repeating a relationship? Why do I, the next person I go to, if you haven't learned so that you've grown forward, you're going to keep recreating it because this wound internally is calling out. It's always calling out to be healed. So I realized that there have been relationships in my life that I have if anybody would say to me, wow, I really like what you're doing, or I just love you, and whatever, is that I finally understood that that was the situation I was raised in, where my mom was never home.
Okay, yeah.
So what happened is that anytime anybody did that, it was like the blinders came up, because my mom might as well have been standing in front of me saying, I'm here. I'm finally here. And so there have been relationships that I'm just absolutely blindsided by.
Yeah.
You know?
I've seen that with you.
You've seen
Yeah,
it, yeah.
I have,
And so I really got to the core of it, and it's been an interesting experience, because I came out of it feeling like, you know, I can do things differently now.
Yeah.
I'm going to at least be on guard and recognize that the first time somebody says, wow, I really like you, and I really like what you're doing, and I just adore what's going on, and that I'm going to step back and go, where am I responding from on this?
Right.
Is it that place that's going, oh, good, Mom finally came home?
Right. And then mine was kind of similar, and actually started the night that you did the shamanic healing circle.
Oh, good.
at
I
the
love it
winter
when things
solstice.
play out
And
like
so,
that.
Right, because you had us go around in a circle and kind of pick a word to represent 2015. And
Right.
And, you know, me, I'm trying to come up with a lot of stuff, and literally I heard expansion. And ever since then, it's been interesting, because the fear of that has manifested.
Oh, really?
And
the fear of
the
expansion.
fear of going big, and you know, all this stuff, and really getting bigger is you know, even though I want it, it's the roadblocks that I'm creating to it, it's interesting, because it's not, the universe is not allowing me.
The universe is not allowing you.
Maybe I didn't put that right. It's just that a block will come up, and then I'll get a message, and it's almost like Mary Rose said, you know, things are going to manifest a lot faster now.
Yeah, they do.
And so that's been kind of the thing. And I've had some instances in my own life where I've had to look at staying calm in chaotic situations. And what I find is that I'm getting better at that. I'm getting better at staying calmer and responding peacefully to things that might be chaotic in my own life.
Right.
And so I feel like there's obviously one level of that, but as everything, when you're working your spiritual path, there's always another level of mastery.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't stop.
No,
if it stops,
it
you're not
doesn't.
here anymore.
Right. And then you're doing this on the other side.
And then you're doing it on the other side,
Right.
whatever you didn't finish here. So, yeah,
Right,
at least
right.
that's my belief system.
So that's been part of it. It has been also just, and it was really kind of, I had to laugh at the reactions of a lot of people in Las Vegas about this snow.
Oh, it's
I
hysterical.
just had to laugh, because I'm sitting there. I've driven in snow. I lived in Oregon. You know, I skied in Northern California. I've driven in the snow here, if you can call it that. And it's been the fact that people were just
Stopped?
you know, it would have, the whole town would have shut down with 3 inches of snow.
Well, in 2008, which was the last big snowfall, there was 8 inches at Railroad Pass, which is what?
Yeah.
It's about 15, 20 minutes
Yeah, that's
as you're heading towards Arizona from here.
Yeah.
And I remember, because Henderson tends to be, most of Henderson, you're kind of driving uphill a
Yeah.
little bit. And people were parking their SUVs because they
Yeah.
didn't know how to drive in it.
Yeah. And because they don't know how to drive in the rain.
Well, that was even they don't know how to deal with rain. I mean,
Right.
it's, of course, if you're in the Northwest, if you don't know how to deal with rain, you got to move.
Right. But it was interesting. It was interesting for me to see all the different reactions. I didn't feel any sense of panic. I was actually excited. I was wanting it to snow. I thought, oh, this will be great.
Yeah.
And so I had no problem. I know that I can drive in the snow, but it's not about if I can drive in the snow.
It's with the
about
other guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but it was interesting to watch the people's different reactions, the ones that came into the store, on Facebook, in the news, and
I'm glad I didn't see that.
it was just interesting to see all of that.
Yeah.
You know, and to sit there and say, okay. And then, you know, I got to reminisce with my kids about the last time it snowed, and, you know, when they built a snowman and Natalie lost her glasses in the snow and found them the next day because the snow melted.
You know, and it's interesting living in Las Vegas is that everybody that I meet that's from back east, that has moved here from back east or the upper Midwest, the very first thing out of their mouth is, how do you like living in Vegas? And they said, it's great. I don't have to shovel snow anymore.
Yes, a lot of snowbirds come here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, but what we're talking about in a roundabout way, and we're going to use this as a segue,
it works.
yeah, is living in the present moment. And for those of you that are not on our Facebook page, please, if you get a chance to do it before the end of the show, join our Facebook page, Soul Chat. There's an article that you posted on there a couple of days ago by Wayne Dyer.
Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Dr. Wayne Dyer. I like Dr. Wayne Dyer.
I do too. I followed him for, actually, I met him years ago.
I saw that in your
and
post.
I met him years ago, and if he was here, he'd be sitting here going, yeah.
And you know, when he speaks, when he gets up and does a presentation, he doesn't wear shoes.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
But you got to figure that when I met him, it was back in the early 80s.
When he was just starting to come.
Well, he had just written Your Erroneous Zones, and he hadn't gone through the transformation that he has gone through now.
Yeah.
And so it was the days, there was alcohol involved, there was pot involved, there was, all sorts. And that was the generation. That was the visioning at that time.
Absolutely.
Was, we're going to go visioning now, and we're going to smoke something. Or,
and now we use candles and other stuff. Right.
Well... Yeah, and they got a lot stronger things to use, but the transformation, and for a long time, I really judged him. I really did.
Really?
I did.
Okay,
I
that's
did
interesting.
for a very long time, and I had to look at, afterwards, because I felt like he wasn't telling the truth about what was going on with him. And it wasn't until one day I looked at that and I went, wait a minute, because there is a tendency to think about people, especially if you haven't seen them for a long time. There's a tendency to think about that they're still in the same place that you left them.
Right, that they haven't.
So you don't experience any kind of transformation. You don't. It doesn't even enter your psyche, and I say that in general, knowingly, because that's your memories and your perception are the last is the last information that you had. So the truth is if you haven't seen anybody for 15 or 20 years, like I had connected with him, I was really judging him, and I was thinking, wow, he's out there spewing all this stuff. And the last time I heard about him or saw him, there was a lot of drinking involved. And then I saw the movie The Shift.
Okay, I don't think I saw that one.
I've
seen What the Bleep, and I've seen a few other ones.
And he talks about it in there, and he talks about in the book that he wrote about around that, the moment that he realized people would tell him he had a drinking problem. His wife told him he had a drinking problem. Yeah, I'm a drinking problem. And then he talks about the moment he realized that was true, and he actually had a vision come to him that came with a smell. And in the middle of the night, he woke up and he had smelled roses. Now we know who that is.
That's my.
And he turned. He turned in that moment, and that was a transformative moment. And then his path moved differently, and he joined Hay House, and he did lots of things. But the healing part of it for me is realizing, well, what am I judging him for? Because there were things in my life I hadn't done. It's so much easier to judge other people.
Oh, it's absolutely.
I don't have to look at my crap.
Right. I can look at somebody else's crap
and do a whole lot of judgment.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then that moves into, when you're judging, and this is what we're taught in pranic healing, you actually want to move away from judgment and into discernment, which again goes back to our topic of living in the now. And because discernment is the higher spiritual gift, you're coming at it from a point of view of love and saying, I can see where this person is struggling. But
understand that just saying, well, that was judgment, I'm going to be discerning now, it doesn't happen like that.
No, it doesn't. It's definitely, there's a total process for it.
There's a process, and the thing that has to happen is to understand the ways I'm judging myself. If I'm judging somebody else, what am I really not looking at?
Right.
What am I getting out of judging that other person? That's a tough
and that goes into ego, though. But the thing is
judgment
that
is ego.
Right, but it's easy for us to look at somebody else and not think that it's going to affect us. But what I learned about judgment is that when you judge somebody, you're telling the universe, I need to learn this lesson. And then you'll get that lesson in a different way, at which point you will have compassion for somebody in that situation. Now, in his article on
pull it up here so we can
pull it up. So if you get a chance to like Soul Chat, it is on that Facebook on that Facebook page.
Right.
And it does, in his article about going into 2015, he has some really, really good points. And the first one was to be present in this moment. And what that means is don't worry about the future. Sure, you can manifest it. But if you're worrying about what's going to happen in September and you're thinking about that now in January, that's not being in the present moment.
Okay, we did post it. Why is it not
showing? You did post it, and I actually had to go to your wall and look at it because for some reason it didn't, even though it was on Soul Chat, so maybe you can post it again. But it talked about setting goals, setting daily goals, and he talked about... Go ahead.
It's a little more in depth than that.
He had 11 tips, right?
Yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
So, This is how he starts out. Today is the dawn of a new year, so you're probably working on a list of things that you'd like to get done in 2015. I'd like to ask you to forget about making these resolutions. Forget about deciding, I lost it, on the first day of January how you're going to be conducting your life in September. It's not to tell somebody to live in the moment, and then they say, well, that's nice. How do I do that?
Right.
The thing is to catch yourself. Like, let's say my big thing. Let's say I'm gonna work out, and everybody sees it, and there's a $1 billion industry built on people joining up gyms in January.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm gonna go work out, and I'm gonna go do this, and by the 1st of March, they're gone.
Right.
It's done. I've done it.
Right.
I
think everybody has.
So the thing is because it's not based. Your intention is based on something that's going to happen in the future. Your goal is to get to something that's happening in the future. Now, people will say, so how do I get anything done if I don't plan goals? It's a balancing act. I mean, you can have things out there. This is what I want to do in September. I'm going to take a vacation. So you write it down, you put it in the calendar, and then what do? You let it go.
Right. But then you take the steps to make sure that happens.
Right. But at some point, you let it go.
Yeah.
Because you truly have to just, it's already cooked. It's already out there. It's what you want to do. So forget about deciding on the first day of January how you'll be conducting your life in September, 9 months later. Any resolution that involves making decisions about future behaviors is a waste of time.
And that was this one sentence in there that really hit home for me.
Right.
Because he goes on to say, set daily goals.
Yeah, and set things in the moment. And I've noticed since I've been back, because I really felt myself get into a different place. Once I realized that part of what was going on for me is I was burned out. I had been chasing that thing of I got to get this done, I got to get that done.
Yeah, you have been.
I've got to make this happen. I can't, I got all of our shows up on Soul Chat.
Yep.
There's a plug, by the way, if you're interested in seeing our shows.
Right. We have a YouTube station.
We have a
called Soul
YouTube
Chat.
channel. It's called Soul Chat LV, and there's spaces between Soul and Chat and LV, and they're all up there. And I just put the one that you and Mary Rose did.
Good.
Last week up there. So all of 2014 that I could find is up there. So I had done that, and what happens is by constantly being out there, I'm driving towards this goal. I'm really not noticing what's going on around me.
Yeah, and in Buddhism, because when you and I talked about this theme, I went to my Buddhist books, and I looked up what Thich Nhat Hanh. Yeah, him.
Han.
And this book is The Heart of Buddhist Teachings, and
he's got to be named for somebody. No mother would do that to a child, right?
And he talks about the same, pretty much the same thing.
Right.
He talks about being mindful, and what that is in Buddhism is putting your attention on something. You can put your attention on something positive, or you can put your attention on something negative. And if you're putting it on the past, then you're not in the present moment. And he has a sentence in here that got me. What was it? Mindfulness is remembering to come back to the present moment.
Right.
That's his definition.
One of the things that people do, and let's take it back to working out. I'm going to work out. So there's all this planning around, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go, I'm going to get there, and then all of a sudden after, it maybe goes for a week, a month and a half, 6 weeks, something like that. And then it kind of fades off. So what happened? Why didn't it carry forward?
Well, because there's not a dedication to self.
Well, but it's even a little simpler than that. It was about things that you have to do outside of yourself down the road. So what can you do in the moment that's life-changing? Because most change happens because of tiny little steps. It's rare that a huge step will happen unless you have like a heart attack and you're forced to do something. So it's like he says here, when you set day-to-day goals for yourself, you can begin living this way for the rest of your life. Remember this little piece of advice, which will be extremely helpful to you if you can incorporate it in your life. When you go for one entire day without eating sugar or not smoking or being assertive or any other new behavior, at the end of the day, you've changed.
Yeah. So it's about...
And it's recognizing, I did that today.
Right. And that goes back to something we talked about last year, which was at the end of the day, go through that list, those 5 or 10 things that you did that you were proud of, and end your day on that positive note.
Right.
And it could be like you said, I didn't smoke, I didn't have sugar, I didn't have the cup of coffee I had, and that's what I've been doing. And you know how much I love coffee, but I've been drinking more tea lately. So
but not waiting until you've finally gone for 6 months and you say, well, I don't drink coffee anymore. It's celebrating. Today I didn't drink coffee.
Right.
And there's a different
I don't know if
experience
I'm
that
gonna
happens
get
in your
there.
body. I don't think you will.
I love coffee.
So and he's talking again about what you were talking about is practice canceling out negative thoughts.
So let's give some techniques on that. Canceling out a negative thought.
Well, the trick on the negative thought, especially if it's been a habit, because so many times when it's a habit, we don't catch ourselves. So this is something that we learned and we practiced when I was studying emotional awareness. If you can catch yourself in the moment, let's say you're thinking about somebody, or you're going, well, that always happens that way, and or you have a belief about a segment of society, and it's always negative. Okay.
Sure. Programming. Yeah.
Catching yourself when you're thinking that way, even if all you can do is stop for a few seconds and go, whoa, what am I doing? Even if you can just ask yourself that question, and that's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
It goes back to the thing he just said. You have changed things for a few seconds, and then it gets longer. It's like riding a bike. All of us have fallen off a bike, right? The first 5 feet, you're going, yeah, and then you fall over.
Right.
And the next time it's 10 feet. And that's where the real change happens.
And so what you're talking about is building a skill.
Right.
And so what I tell people when they hopefully can catch themselves with that negative thought is a couple of things. Okay, how can you reword that is what I'll ask people. And you've done that with me. And then the other one is to just pretend that there's a cancel, clear, and delete button, like we have on our laptops and our iPads and all that stuff. We have that delete button.
And I hate to use that one, though, because that's a quick one. Because this is a real attention process.
But that's also not allowing that thought to get out there and become energy.
Right.
So it's about them noticing it.
It's easy to say to stay in the moment. Those are the buzz phrases now.
Yeah, they are.
Live in the moment, think positive, and all. And you go, fine, I would love to. How? How do I do that? Right. And part of it is setting your intention. That's the thing about being in the moment.
Yes.
Is setting your intention. You say, just for an hour. That's the famous phrase from from Reiki, is just for today I will not worry. Just for this moment I'm going to let go of negativity. Just for today. And it's in the small spaces that the change happens.
The Dalai Lama has an exercise for the new monks that come in, and that is he tells them to go for 4 hours without saying anything negative to anybody. And I've tried to put that on myself, and it was hard to go for an hour. Because you have kids and they do something wrong, you can't, you have to come at it from another point of view. And so you can see how the life just kind of throws it at you. But it's so I thought, wow, 4 hours, I'd have to be quiet for the whole time.
Well, and think about the people that another thing that there's an exercise that monks do, and we've seen it in several places, is the day of silence.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's a life-changing process.
And in the Catholic Church, there are monks there, and brothers and sisters and nuns that all take vows of silence. They don't talk. I couldn't do that. And
so I think what happens is when the age-old thing of, wow, I got to eat off that 12 pounds of sugar I just ate yesterday, or whatever it is that it's this all or nothing situation. I have to do this, and if I don't accomplish it in 3 weeks, I'm done.
Right. So but he also goes on to say, and so does this guy, about give up procrastination.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one. I noticed that. Well, I had 2 weeks, and when I was gone, and my friend said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "Whatever you're going to do. I've just given up. I give up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. I don't care." And I slept till I woke up, and I got into this pattern where I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning, and I'd read for a couple hours and think I was going to get up and have coffee with everybody, and the next thing I knew, I was sound asleep again. And I gave myself permission to do that. That's the value of vacation.
Right.
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 The trick is when you come back. Now what do you do?
Right.
So I noticed that my pattern was to get up and get the dog outside and come back in and grab coffee and sit on the couch and turn on the news. Or I don't watch the news, but turn on a program I'm watching. And the next thing I know, 2 hours has gone by and I'm still sitting on the couch. So the agreement I've made with myself is my intention, okay, is not to do that, do it differently and consciously know I'm doing it differently.
So limit your time or go for a walk in the morning.
It's not about the time. Yeah. It's about setting the intention and then doing it. So what I do now is that I get up, I make sure I get dressed. I don't, because if I'm in,
good thing.
If I'm in
This is
soft,
Vegas.
if
I
I'm
think
in
that's a
soft
wonderful thing.
clothes,
Yeah.
if I'm in soft clothes, as a friend of mine says, and it's really comfortable, and I could be 11 o'clock, and I'm still sitting in soft clothes talking on the phone.
And that's part of the reason why, I get up and I have a place to go.
Right.
So I don't have.
So
that
it's all
luxury.
about doing things differently, and if you set the intention, if all you do is set the intention and say, I'm going to do things differently, pick one thing.
Well, and on that note, what I've done, and and a few of our listeners know out there, I kind of pulled back on doing meditations. And so this year I'm going back into doing that. And
Pulling back or
doing them publicly again.
Okay.
And because I kind of pulled back from that, and that's part of that expansion again and I will actually going to plug for myself here. For those of you in Clark County, I will be doing my first public meditation of 2015 on January 14th, starting at 6:30 at Karma Connections. Space is limited.
It is limited.
It is limited.
It's a wonderful place, and if you want to go, I suggest you get there.
Get there early. Get there
yeah.
early. And for those of you that have never been, we start off with a meditation, and then because I do pranic healing, we follow the meditation with pranic healing, and it becomes kind of a social event. People talk, but in pranic healing, we believe that meditation loosens up the energy first, and I've actually seen that with a lot of people. They'll tell me afterwards. So that's something new that I'm doing, and I
like drumming to loosen people up.
I think and they're both fun. But I'll tell you also, it is about all the different modalities that are going on.
Yeah.
So that is something that I'm reinstituting this year, and I'm not going to do it the way I did it before, which was every week.
No,
that was too much for me. But some part of me was not willing to give that up. Until the universe basically said, you need to give it up.
Well, and one of the things that I'm doing is, and I had done this for a long time, and Spirit was very clear because we did journeys. I actually ended up teaching a little 3-hour class one afternoon for a couple people and one other person that came. And I had this rule that they told me, everything before 11 o'clock is about you.
Yeah.
You don't do clients until after 11 o'clock. Well, now they pushed it, and now I'm hearing till noon. You need morning is, and so I let clients call me, and I'd answer them right back, and I'm sticking to it. I'm not going to return phone calls. So anybody that's listening, I don't return phone calls until after noon.
Right.
12 o'clock p.m.
Right. And I think for people in what
that's
we
a
do,
change.
I think for a lot of people, they need to step back and take that time. And I think and then focus on the present, focus on setting an intention. And a lot of people have come up to me in the last few weeks and said, how do you set an intention? So let's cover that.
Well, setting an intention, we set them all the time.
Yeah. But,
constantly.
So I would say let's explain how people can do it consciously, though. You and I know how to do it.
No, the average person sets intention all the time. If you think about it, somebody calls you and says, oh, I've got to meet you at 7 o'clock. So you set the intention, you set an alarm clock, you support yourself to change your pattern if you don't normally have to be someplace till 8. Now all of a sudden you've got to be, or you're catching a plane. My intention is to get up and get to the airport a half an hour early. So I have to do da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We set intentions all the time.
Right.
And you can do the same thing. You do the same thing with change. But I think the trick is not to make them big steps.
And that's what he talks about. He talks about baby steps, small goals.
Because that's more in the moment.
Right. So what are some of the things that take us out of the moment?
Sugar.
Right. So okay. So we could cover nutrition, and we should give.
There's things that the things that take you out of the moment are things that don't really feed your spirit. And it's a distraction. There's something going on. That just takes you out of the moment. It might be TV. It might be, turn the noise down. Don't pick the phone up. I challenge people to not read their email.
I haven't checked it in a couple days, actually.
Good for you. But but see, is that breaking a pattern for you?
Yeah, actually, and it is lately because
but
most of the time I do check them every day.
So
2 or 3 times a day.
let's take a simple thing like I'm going to set the intention to break a pattern.
Okay.
So now what would be your next step?
To for me, it would be to go out and find out the best way to break. Well, identify the pattern, I guess, would be the first
That's
one.
right.
Identify the pattern and then take the steps to acknowledge what needs to happen
That's
to
right.
break it. And then
That's right.
for me, it would be to look at the emotional stuff.
To feel what's going on.
Yeah.
Because if we've used something as a distraction, you know, one of the things that's famous for me to do, because I can isolate with the best of them.
Yes,
as you
you
know.
can.
I can disappear.
Yep.
And one of the things is it's easy for me at 7 o'clock at night when the phone stops ringing or when something's done, or especially if I had a day with clients and I'm not drained, but I got to plug back into, I got to put roots down in the earth,
I understand that.
is to go sit on the couch and just turn on something mindless. Okay, so if that's what I need to do, the first thing is, okay, is there something else I could do that would support me without that kind of input?
Right.
And maybe if there's not, I set an alarm, or I say, I'm only going to do this till 7, and I do something that's going to remind me, you know,
Yeah.
when this is done. So it's about, and look at all the awareness when you're focusing on that. You truly are trying what is going, and it's all about how am I going to move forward in this moment,
Yeah.
you know?
And sometimes, especially with what you and I do, it is about just being in that peace and in that calm and as just being.
You know, and I hear you say that, and I know that's true, and I know there are moments you can do that, but if somebody just irritated the heck out of you and say, well, okay, I'm just going to go to peace, it doesn't work.
No, right, exactly. No,
So,
but you do, if somebody's flipping out on you at that moment, you do have to react. But the reaction is...
or do you? Now look at
Well,
that statement right there.
But there's all different types of reactions.
So that's the point. So
Right.
if my intention is somebody, what I usually do when somebody says, why did you do blah, 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 I'm thinking of people that are at work. Somebody, your boss just comes by and accuses you of doing something you haven't done.
Right.
What is the thing to do is to stop. That's the first thing. And be mindful and say, okay, how do I normally react? And how could I react differently this time?
Right, so there's still a reaction.
And
right.
maybe, is there a reaction or is there a choice? Because reaction usually, in my world, reaction is usually something that's an automatic thing.
Well,
It's stopping the
okay.
automatic
Okay.
action.
I think there's always a choice to react, and I think even not reacting and taking that moment is a reaction.
But it's about being mindful about it.
Absolutely.
So a reaction
Absolutely.
can be if George all of a sudden looked at me and said, wow, I just really don't like what you wear today, and I now have a choice. I can go, well, you know, or I can take a deep breath.
I would just have to ask him what his shirt means.
Or my, yeah,
What
what is that?
What would Robert Walker do? What does that
Wow.
mean? Who is Robert Walker?
Oh gosh, now you're now our age
Robert
is showing.
already? He passed.
He
was used to
did.
a show with us here.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know, one of my great things that I do is the sarcastic remark.
No, you don't do any sarcasm.
Yeah.
That makes you Irish.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So what happens is if somebody says something, let's go back to a time when, and you were around at this time, I was doing a circle, and the owner of the place came in and stepped in, and I'm very territorial about my circles because I'm all about holding the energy and keep making it a safe
Right,
place
I
for
remember
people.
this.
And this person came in and intruded and said, everybody have a wonderful time, but don't drum loudly. First of all, it's
Right.
a drumming circle,
Right. Right.
And because we've got a person next door that's getting a massage. Now that sounds like that would be a normal request, except that we got scheduled in that room
Yes.
next to a massage thing.
Yes.
So without thinking, I reacted. You know, and I said, in my drumming circle, you want them to be quiet? That's not going to happen. That person remembered that and threw it back at me 3 months later. And at the moment it came out of my mouth, I went, oh, that came from such a bad place in my body. I mean, I might as well have taken a hatchet.
Right.
It was the best thing I could do in the moment. So what could I have done differently in that moment?
Well, it could have been, well, you know, we've had this scheduled for a period of time now. Can you possibly
Except
move the
everybody's starting
massage?
to drum. I don't have time to do that.
Right. So what could you have done?
Take a deep breath and say, thank you for the information. and contain what's boiling up,
Right,
but being
drummed it
aware
out.
and drummed it out. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. That and drummed it out and just being aware of what I'm feeling the whole time.
So back to this, that was a trigger for you, and I've been learning a lot about triggers lately. So I think being mindful and staying in the moment is about noticing your reaction.
It's feeling it.
It's feeling it. Now
It's not just notice. It's I
Right.
mean, that's a step.
right, but
if
you
you
and
don't
you and
normally
I know
notice
can
it.
do this on a deeper level because we're energy workers.
Well, I don't know about that. I know a lot of energy workers that don't do it on
Well,
a deeper
but I mean,
level,
but you and I can say, you just said that came from a bad place. I can say, well, that might have come from your solar plexus, or that might have come from.
right. So we got a terminology because we're energy workers, because we're energy healers. But I think it's the same with everybody. As noticing there's so many reactions we have during the day that we're not really understanding what we're feeling in our body.
Well, right. And this, I think, also goes back to something else. I don't think Dr. Dyer covered this, but we are mirrors for each other. And you've been a great mirror for me, and I know I've been a great mirror for you.
Yeah, I love it when something's going on with you and I look at you and go, oh, crap.
I've been there. Yeah. I just got
Or
that
I'm
lesson.
going through that. It looked
Right.
differently, but I just got the
Right.
same thing.
Right.
And I want to make sure that everybody understands. We're talking about, this is all about doing, instead of doing resolutions in the future, this is about how can we change things in the moment.
Right.
Because that's where the real change happens.
And as people say, if you can't solve a problem from the same vibration that it was created.
Right.
You just, if you're creating something from fear, you can't solve it with fear.
You can't solve
Just
anything
won't
from
work.
fear.
No.
No, you can't solve anything from fear. It just doesn't work, and you can't have fear and love in the same
Nope.
place. It won't work.
It will not work.
But you've got, my book anyway, after working with people and working with myself, I was such a wonderful client for myself. It was ridiculous, but is really working in the moment and getting clear. What do I want? Let's say I decided I want to stop eating sugar.
Okay.
Okay. So going a whole day seems like a stretch. And first of all is understanding how I feel when I'm eating it, because it's addictive.
It's comfort, right?
Yeah, especially that toffee that was given to me for Christmas.
Or
But
the-
anyway,
or the
that's a whole other,
Reese's, right?
or the Reese's, yeah. So maybe I set a short-term thing and say, from 9 to 10 in the morning, I'm not going to have any sugar in my coffee. And maybe I don't want coffee. Maybe I can do something with tea.
Yeah, see, I tried to do that quickly, and that didn't work.
It quickly doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work, But it's kind of going without it. I noticed that when I stopped, because I got rid of cable TV, and I went to a Roku box. That set up a whole new thing. But all of a sudden, I wasn't mindlessly going from one show to the next and surfing.
So
Just
you were
breaking-
choosing what you wanted to watch.
That's right.
And that's what, again, it goes back to, like you said, and Dr. Dyer, choosing your reaction.
In the
noticing
moment.
It in the moment.
In the moment.
Because a lot of people will say, especially with what's been going on in the world in the last 2 or 3 weeks, oh man, if that person did that to me, I'd be so mad.
And the other thing is getting lost in, and I hear people doing this all the time. They get upset about grand things that are going on in the world. Now, not that you shouldn't be upset about certain things that are going on
Correct.
in the world, okay? But if that's distracting you from your own war that's going on, what is, it's a balancing act. It's just a balancing act. What's keeping me from doing my own work?
And then you get to the point where you are balanced and you are in harmony, and you know that there's other things, other beliefs that need to be let go. And at some point, you kind of become grateful. Okay, what can I let go of now?
I don't think I've hit that yet.
Yeah, it's but I think, but
I'm working on it.
But I think you can, and that's kind of what this whole process of expansion has been for me. What can I let go of? I mean, I'm afraid of being famous, but I have a radio show.
Well, that kind of didn't work,
right?
didn't it?
Right. So, but it was more about expanding not only my belief system and myself, but my practice and the stuff that I want to do. I just want it to get bigger.
I was just talking to someone yesterday who did, and I went to that dinner last night and I got a raffle. I actually won a raffle.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
What did you win?
It was this beautiful little painting. She's what do they call it? It's when a multimedia artwork.
Oh.
So there was some painting and there was some collage and there was a picture. It was about that big, not very big. probably like, would that be? It wasn't even a foot. It was like a 8x8, 6x6 square. And I looked at it, and it was kind of abstract, and it had a bird in it. And then I started noticing the peacock feathers that were coming out of it. And so, yeah, because the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning is I have a big dream catcher made with peacock feathers. And I'm going, well, I know where this is going to hang, you know. Anyway, where did I go down that road? Oh, and I got to talking with her afterwards, you know, and she was saying she's very good. Very good. And she was expressing just what you did about, you know, it's just kind of getting out there and doing that thing. And, and I explained to her, well, first thing to understand is just by charging out there isn't going to work, because you have to honor that part that is fearful, because it probably went in place to protect you from some event that was happening. And the problem is it outstayed its welcome.
Yeah. And I will say that I was raised in a family of attorneys.
There's a fearful situation right there.
Right? But public speaking was never one of my fears, and yet it is one of the biggest fears of most people. And it was never anything that I was ever afraid of.
Well, you've seen me. We went to the All Talk. Did you notice, George, that I just suddenly disappeared?
Yeah, we both did.
Wow, you really did?
Yeah, we both disappeared.
Well, I told you I was disappearing. He didn't know. I just left, you know.
Yep.
But I can stand on a stage with a mic in my hand and sing for 5,000 people, and it's not a problem. I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an issue talking on the mic.
Right.
But put me in a situation where there's a bunch of people, and we're all just kind of doing this social thing, and it's like, oh, get me out of here. The room's closing in. The world's getting smaller. I don't know what to say.
Well, you know, I think we can work on that. We can expand that.
Well, the first issue is you have to want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But
so it's about the
I do want to say, because we've only got, I mean, George has fallen behind. We've only probably got a few minutes left, so I'm going to take us out of the moment for 1 minute. And I, as we were coming on, you know, we heard about this shooting in El Paso. So I just want to send a lot of light and love to the 2 soldiers that are wounded. So.
And you're going to think I'm crazy, but we need to send compassion to everybody involved in that situation,
well, and
even the shooters
who took his own life.
Well, in any situation, because at the very least, there's a person there with a broken heart.
Right.
That's not connected, that would not do that if that weren't true.
Right. And so I just want to send a lot of love, a lot of light, and just let the people in El Paso, Texas know that here at Soul Chat, we're thinking about them, keeping them in our prayers, hoping that everything can work out to...
Because the instant reaction is to say those people should be hung, they should be done it. And because that's an instant reaction, that's a human reaction to trying to control the madness, you know? But really, to take a deep breath and ask that a lot of light be sent to that situation for everybody concerned, not only for the families of the people who passed, but the people of the families of the people that are causing the problems.
The witnesses, everybody.
The parents of...
the brother, the sister, the mother, the daughter.
Everybody.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of stress going around in there. So
There is. And so I just wanted to put that out there. Also, Eric Peters is starting up his walk again.
Yay. So, good for Eric.
Yeah. So
did we buy him a new pair of shoes? Or?
I didn't. But I will say that it's been interesting watching him. There's an event planned, and I'm going to put this out there to all of you out there who possibly know somebody in the entertainment industry. Go to his Facebook page, No Veteran Walks Alone. Check out his story, but he's looking for major entertainers to come to the Hollywood Bowl in
Even
March.
minor ones.
Even minor ones like Miss Elena
ones.
Risto.
Yeah.
And looking for people that will get up and go on stage. And I'm going to give the push out. We're really hoping that he gets the Lieutenant Dan Band that Gary Sinise founded after the movie Forrest Gump.
Right.
And he's trying to get other people. So if any of you know any entertainers, country singers, rock stars, people that can sing and would like to do this for a cause, please go to No Veteran Walks Alone on the Facebook page. Get in touch with Eric Peters, inbox him, and see if you can get some singers for this. This is huge.
It's March.
It's going to be in March.
March at the Hollywood Bowl.
At the Hollywood Bowl.
Right.
So he'll be walking here from Las Vegas to, actually the final destination is Santa Monica. So we'll see how long that takes him. Could take him 2 weeks, could take him 6 weeks. We'll see. So we wish him well on his journey. He's been on All Talk, a couple of different shows here.
Right.
And he's been on Fox 5 here locally, so you can look out for links on his Facebook page. So we wish him well in his journey. He's doing the Walk Across America, started June 20th in New Jersey, and was here and got here earlier in December.
It was before the holidays. It was. I thought it was before
right
Thanksgiving.
After Thanksgiving.
Oh, it was right after
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So we wish him well, and what he's doing is for PTSD and TBI. That is very much about getting out of those moments.
It's very much about not being stuck in the past,
right?
And because those things are so, and anybody can have PTSD.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's about not reliving it over and over again, because
right.
when we're reliving something that's horrific in the past, we are now feeding that moment that doesn't exist anymore.
And we're trying to get into
right.
a place where they're not having the flashbacks and the
right.
nightmares and all that stuff. And their
so
body
where are
isn't
you
reacting.
going? Where are you going to be? You're going to be at Karma Connection. You do readings there.
I'm at Karma Connections. It's on Warm Springs and Rainbow, and Tracy gave me a card. I'm going to have to look it up again. But it's Karma Connections. We have a Facebook page.
7380 or 50 or something like that.
And but we do have a Facebook page, Karma Connections. She just got in. I don't know if you saw this on my Facebook page. She got in blessed water, different from holy water, from Lourdes. And we go back to Wayne Dyer, and he's had some experiences.
Very much some experiences
with the blessed water and going into the spring that he
right.
went into and all this stuff. So we just got some in. And I think we're probably the only store that carries it. I haven't even seen the Catholic stores carry the blessed water from Lourdes. Right. So that is at the store. I'm going to start using it in my healing sessions.
Yeah, I just got introduced, and I knew it was coming. I just got introduced to. It's not essential oils. It's not. It is, but it's not. But it's oil essence.
Okay.
And got met. His name is Gary. I can't remember his last name. It's in Calgary, Canada. And my friend Jan said, "You've got to meet him." And I went there, and he has just created the Tree of Life oil.
Oh, I would love that.
And the three of us did a ceremony around it. And I got to tell you, there was about an hour and a half there. I was glad she was driving, because it was really otherworldly. Right. I am going to be at Spirit Us Reiki Center.
Spirit Us.
Yep.
Where's that?
That's
a new place?
It's been around for a while. I started talking to him last year. So on the 13th, which is a Tuesday,
right?
And I said, you got to do it at 7 because I'm on the radio till 6.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll give me time to get there.
This is not Spirit Within You.
Nope.
Okay.
Spirit Us Reiki Center. For those of you that live on the east side of Las Vegas, or you're willing to drive there, it's the 95 and East Charleston.
Okay, I know where that is.
Okay, so it's not far off the freeway. You can go to my meetup page, which is Shamanic Song, and sign up there. I'm going to be putting that on there tonight on the 13th and the 27th, and second and fourth Tuesday in January. And you're going to be this Sunday at Soul Sunday at the Meadows.
Sunday at the Meadows.
Yep.
And then also I just want to put another plug out for Stand Down.
Oh yeah.
The meetings for Stand Down. Stand Down is a 2-day event that US Vets sponsors here to get homeless veterans off the streets and get services for those that are in homes. It's open to all families, all branches. You don't have to be homeless to go there. If you've got something on your record, the justice system is there. If you want to get something going on, you and I are going to have a table there for stress relief
right.
and all that stuff, alternative healing. So if you're interested in participating and getting your own booth, please go to the US Vets website, US Vets Initiative Las Vegas, and sign up. The meetings are, I think the next meeting is, actually, I think it's the 14th of January.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm holding my meditation at Karma Connections. But if you're interested in participating in the Stand Down or being a sponsor, they have partnered with a lot of good groups here locally. Goodwill is one of them, 707 Properties. But Stand Down, the one that is here in Las Vegas, is going to be March 17th and 18th, and it is one of the biggest stand downs in the country.
Right.
And it's here. And they've had some amazing results. You and I have been there the last couple years, and we've seen some of the results that have come in. Men and women are getting hired. They're getting jobs. They're getting haircuts. We have dentists coming.
Yeah.
We've got all that going on. So,
the 25th, I'll be at Soul Sunday at the Meadows doing a shamanic healing circle.
Oh, okay, cool.
And other than that, Happy New Year to everybody. And thanks for joining us.
Right.
And we have Soul Chat. We have our own channel now.
Right.
So you can watch all the shows from last year, and as soon as George puts it up, I grab it.
Right.
And
our
put
Facebook
it up there
page.
on our Facebook page, which is Soul Chat. You can reach me at 702-308-8464, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. And I also have AlenaRistoHealer.com. And if you get confused about either one of us, you can just call George at 702-609-7626. if you want to make some positive change in your life, if you really want your world to change, pick some little thing this week. One thing, and make a change and say, in this moment, I'm going to choose to do da 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 da. Look at how you feel, and then just do it. And then notice how you feel afterwards. And if you can go a whole day without drinking coffee.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Or smoking a cigarette, or the big ones, but even the little ones, just for today. Just for today, I am not going to worry.
And I am Jane McGuire. I can be reached at 702-204-7750. I do have a website, pranicjanelv.com, and you can reach me for a reading or a pranic healing session and even a private meditation.
Oh, and that's the other thing, is I picked up the runes this time.
Oh,
the energy's finally coming through. Hanging out with all you medium psychic
that's
types.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna, I'm a happy medium, though.
Oh. Yeah, we don't want to know why. Have a great week.
Happy New Year, everybody.
We'll see you next week. Same time.
Same bat channel.
Have a good one.
Here I am, standing at the door, looking back at life as it's been before, holding on to things that might have been, knowing that this day will never come again, as my spirit